Hey friends, in this video I chat with Taimak, the iconic star of the cult classic martial arts film, The Last Dragon. As many of you Last Dragon fans know, Taimak brought the character of Leroy Green, also known as Bruce Leroy, to life in this unique and timeless 1985 film that recently celebrated its 40th anniversary on March 22nd, 2025. In this hour-long conversation, Taimak takes us on a journey through his experiences filming The Last Dragon, sharing behind-the-scenes stories about working with co-stars like Vanity and Julius Carry, the unforgettable Sho'nuff, and we learn about Taimak's favorite scene, and we get his thoughts on the movie's enduring legacy 4 decades later. But our conversation goes well beyond his breakout role. Taimak opens up about his career evolution, including his work on the Broadway musical Roadhouse The Comedy, his continued dedication to health and martial arts, and Taimak even shares a few points of wisdom about life. For longtime fans, he shares memorable interactions with the community that has supported him for decades and reflects on the entertainment that's brought him nostalgia in the past. Now, whether you're a diehard fan of The Last Dragon or discovering Taimak's work for the first time, this conversation offers a fascinating glimpse into the life and philosophy of a multi-talented artist whose impact extends far beyond a single iconic role. A quick note on this video before we get started. Please forgive the audio in the first section of the interview. The audio has been corrected and sounds much better in the second half. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the conversation.
All right. Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
Up, man. What's up?
So great to have you here on 80s Dude TV. That 80s Dude, I really appreciate you making time for me and for the audience here.
The thing, man. The 80s dude. It's The Last Dragon is the gift that keeps giving. It's a magical project, a magical film. And wherever I've gone, it just is like a love fest.
I love it. I love it. If you notice here behind me, this is my original The Last Dragon poster. It was actually framed. The only thing is that I had to remove it from a frame because I can't put it behind me on this kind of like revolving or this moving door. So I'll have to reframe it. But it is a beautiful poster. It's one I'm very proud of. And one I've always thought that if I ever met you in person, I would ask you to sign it.
Of course.
So
one day.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So I wanted you to come on and I wanted to chat with you. I was so excited. There are a lot of other things I want to talk to you about besides The Last Dragon, but that's not going to be the bulk of our interview. We're going to talk about life beyond The Last Dragon, what you've been up to, some projects that you're working on, and things of that nature. So I'm really pumped about that. But let's go ahead and kickstart things with The Last Dragon, okay? So
Sure.
Listen, it's going to be 40 years of The Last Dragon come I think in about 5 days. Am I right?
There's a sold-out screening. I'm making an appearance. It's actually here in New York at the Village East by the Angelica on 2nd Avenue on Houston. Wow. This Saturday, sold out in a week. That's just how it rolls, man.
That's amazing. I wish I were in New York. I'll tell you that.
I did a tour with Alamo Drafthouse around the country. People have asked me to attend some screenings. Sometimes it's an appearance in a different. It's all over New York. It could be. All over the United States. It could be anywhere.
Look, I want to know. I've always been curious. What was the audition process like for the role of Leroy Green? And do you remember any specific moments like that really stood out to you?
I was a kickboxing champion in New York, and I had also did fighting as well, karate. And I was at an event, point fighting event, and all these guys I knew were saying, hey man, they've got this movie. They're looking for a person of color to be the star of a martial arts extravaganza. This kind of, this was not these things didn't happen. They didn't have people of color really like playing these roles, these hero roles, these very positive, anyway. And I grew up with such a love for Asian martial arts films. That kind of, inspired me to train all the time. So, like, in my fantasy world, I was a superhero like them in these kung fu movies. And so it was like, anyway, I ended up getting an audition, but I had no idea. I wasn't an actor. I had no idea this whole process about auditioning, getting the sides, which are pieces of the script. And then you go in and you audition based on the sides. Well, when I got to the office, I thought I had my gi on over my shoulder with my black belt. And I walked in there with my chest up. Yeah, I'm going to go in there and do a karate kata and really woo them. And when I got there was none of that. There was guys sitting down with a paper, practicing the lines. And when I went in there eventually, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was a fish out of water. And the guy looked at me. He said, look, you need to work on that. You come back another time. Long story shorter, my father called me up. My hopes were all raised up for my friends, but then I was down the dumps, not going to be the next Bruce Lee at all. This isn't my thing. So I had the sides with me, but I didn't do well in the audition. My father calls me up. He goes, listen, call your boy Richie. We're going to go down to Florida, and we're going to do. So my father was an artist, and he dealt with different merchandise, women's merchandise. And he had a woman out there that he was partnering with on some things. So we drove down there. On the way there, he saw I was kind of sour, and he said, hey, what's the matter? My father's Italian, so he had this way about him, like tough. Come on, give me the lines. Let me see. I know about this stuff. And he whacked me over the back of my head with my friend was sitting in the center. He whacked me. No, it's not like that. Don't you get it? He doesn't know. He's a dummy. He don't know nothing. And everybody else knows. And I was like, I didn't understand a thing. I just was sick of the abuse. So by the time we got down to Florida, I got out of the van. My father said, get this stuff out the back of Richie. Come inside. I got out. And my friend looked at me and said, hey, man, you were right. I said, no, I don't want anything about nothing to do with this. I'm done. He goes, man, if there was a God on earth, that role was written for you. So that sparked a light bulb in me because once you have something within you that's so true, you can't deny it. So me and my friend, we were going to the beach, chasing girls and having fun. We were cleaning roofs. We got paid to do that. And we were practicing the lines, laughing, acting like fools. By the time we got back to New York, I was bent on giving it another shot because I knew I did horrible the first time. I found out in the grapevine that the role was already cast, and I ran to that damn office. I went to the door, I knocked on it. The guy opened the door, he looked at me like I was like his worst nightmare. and I said, listen, Jeremy, can I please come in, give me another shot? So he was just trying to get rid of me. He let me in the room. He didn't even read that well, but he stopped me after 5-10 seconds and sat me down, and he started reading with me. 10 seconds later, he called up production company. He told me to run down there. He wanted me to meet one of the producers. They fired the guy that they said they were going to hire because he didn't sign yet, and they hired him.
Wow, what a story. I absolutely love it. I'm so glad that something motivated you to go back and just really break down that door and make it happen. Honestly, I have had so many conversations with so many fans, and I'm just like, I couldn't imagine, and so many of us could not imagine anyone else being Bruce Leroy. I mean, it was absolutely perfectly cast.
I couldn't imagine anybody else being any of the characters.
I know, right? You're right. I mean, could you imagine somebody else playing Sho'nuff?
Not really. Julius did such an amazing job.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure.
God bless him.
God bless him. Yeah, rest in peace. And absolutely. Now, obviously, I grew up watching Bruce Leroy films. I watched Shaw Brothers martial arts films. I would watch Kung Fu Theater and stuff like that on the weekend.
Man,
right?
What amazing genre that people today. I don't know if young people
I know. It's crazy. I wish they would there are some streaming networks that stream some great nostalgic stuff, but there's really nothing. Well, there is Paya, which is a martial arts dedicated streaming network that I've gotten into recently. But unfortunately, I can't find some of the more esoteric martial arts films from the 70s and late 60s. And it's just tough to find those, and I wish the younger generations were exposed to those.
They have to make the connection. They have to make there's bridging the gap.
Let me ask you this: do you have any favorite behind-the-scenes memories from working with Vanity, Julius Carry, or any of the other fantastic actors that were in the film?
Of course, everybody was so excited to be on the movie. Everybody was so focused and serious, but we were you know, Vanity and I were like going back and forth, like, flirting with each other, going on a date, teasing. She was good, but she was a little older, so she was a little more good with the game.
Yeah.
She was like a prima donna, and then she kind of tests me, and it was all that. But we had a beautiful time, and then Julius was trying to keep me as kind of not too close to him because he noticed I was laughing every time he showed up because I thought he was hilarious. But he wanted to create some tension, so he had to try to start a fight with me one time. But then he bailed out away, and I was chasing him. And they tell me, no, he's just playing. He's a method actor. The Chinese guys were so much fun.
Oh man.
It was like walking onto a set of a comic.
Oh man, I imagine the Sum Dum Goy scene would be that to me is I have to post that scene like on an annual or semi-annual basis just so people know that scene exists. It's such a great scene, how fun were those guys? I mean, were they comedians or like
they were not. They were actors, and everybody was an actor, and they were trying to do their thing, and New York at that time was the hub for talent. The West Coast was like the Baywatch, and trying to be pretty. New York were like New York were the serious actors, but here we are in a fun comedy, with the
that's so
yeah, they were fun. They were fun. They were cracking me up.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So tell me, I'm curious. What is your favorite scene in the movie? What's your favorite scene in The Last Dragon?
When I get the glove.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so awesome. I love it. Tell me, what was that studio like when you saw when you and Vanity were standing there and she was playing, and then the Chinese Connection came on the screen and all?
They built it was everything you saw was all built inside of a studio. It was all.
Oh, wow. I also loved how much homage to Bruce Lee was obviously in the film, and I really appreciated that too.
Yeah. Do you think about MTV, how it began, right? Different, the video DJs and things like that. And that's kind of what they were playing on with Vanity, being a video DJ. But out of a club, go to the screen. I think that should be something they do more. I don't know if there's something exactly like that, but playing the hits and having fun, and it was so much fun.
Awesome, that's awesome. So I've always been curious. What was it like working? Obviously, rest in peace, Vanity and Julius Carry, and obviously Leo Bryan. What was it like working with Julius Carry? I know that he didn't have really any martial arts experience at all, and so what was he like? What was his person like?
Yeah, like we were like opposites. He had the acting experience. I didn't have the acting experience. I had martial arts experience. He didn't have so we worked together. Everybody worked together to make everything work. He stayed in character throughout the film. So when we were off set, he'd be walking around the outfit. So I didn't know about method acting. I didn't know about that kind of thing, stay in character. I've done it plenty of times since then. But that's how he did it. He stayed in character. I think one time we were in a car together where he was not shown up. They happened to put us in the car. Normally, we wouldn't put the car together, go to the set, but this time we were in the car. And he had really wonderful energy. He was a great guy.
Good. I'm so happy to hear that. I wanted to know, did you get to keep anything from the production?
Yes, no. They don't let keep things because they might have to do reshoots. So they keep the product. Yeah, man.
Okay. You didn't even get to keep the hat or the medallion or anything?
I just had some medallions made, and it's up on my website.
Okay. Which website is it? Is it Taimak.com?
I have a website just for those kind of things. It's with Big Cartel, so it's thelastdragon.bigcartel.com.
Oh, awesome! I need to check that out. I had no idea. I'll definitely check that out. You guys remember to check out? I'll put the link in the video description. You guys. I one last thing about The Last Dragon, and we'll kind of move on here, but I've heard that an animated sequel to The Last Dragon is in production. And have you been involved in that in any way? I mean, have you heard the same thing?
Well, it's it's more of a fan production of it.
Okay.
Very talented group of people, but it's not actually a Sony project. You know,
I see.
Sony owns the rights. Yeah.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I mean, has there been any talk about a sequel? I obviously nobody should touch the original. It should never be remade. But has there been any talk about a sequel?
Nothing but talk, man. A lot of hot air. The thing is, the writer got some rights. You know, the original writer, and
Right.
he's some rights. Sony owns the bulk of the rights. And the thing is, with these kind of things, it's like people have to come together.
Yeah, yeah.
So with filmmaking, you know, the studios coming together with others have to, you know, make it more about the fans. You know, make it more about the fans, and I'd love to see that happen. I'd love to be involved in something.
Well, I'm not the only one who as a fan of the film, would love to see that happen as well. I really hope that we do see that in our lifetime. So, but Taimak, listen, I could talk about The Last Dragon all day, but let's go let's talk about life beyond The Last Dragon. I've had some questions that have kind of like burning that I've always wanted to ask you. And like after The Last Dragon, you had like a variety of roles in TV and film. Was there a particular project, that you were really passionate about? And someone mentioned me that you were in a Broadway show called Roadhouse, The Comedy, which is based on Patrick Swayze's film Roadhouse from 1989. Can you talk about those things a little bit and just tell me what happened after that?
It was a hit. It was a hit. People said, how the hell are they going to... Timothy Haskell was the director, the idea. He was the mind of it. And I played Dalton, but we did the exact same script as a comedy. I wore a blonde mother wig. I choreographed fights. We had numbers. We were, the audience was rolling. We had fights in the audience, on stage. We had a pulley rope. So when I hit somebody, they pulled them and they flew off stage. It was like amazing.
Oh man.
Yeah. After that film, the producer of The Last Dragon, Leroy Green, he didn't like that I said no to him about this whole thing about going on to do more films. The thing was, it wasn't in integrity how it came about. The whole meetings and this and that. So I became like the fall guy and the reason why it didn't happen. I'm not that powerful. If you really want something to happen, you make it happen. I was, so enamored by him, I would have done it almost anything. Not anything, I have my ethics, but it just wasn't. It wasn't a happy moment for me. So I was left on my own. There was no internet, social media. There was gatekeepers, or it was a different thing. It was like the gatekeepers are on Mars, and we had to get to Mars.
No.
And people talk about the color, being of color. Well, whether it's black Hollywood, white Hollywood, it's all the same. There is people that just, especially those days, that were just stopping everything. So I was on my own for many, many years. I modeled. I did stunt work. I did stunt work at Universal Studios Hollywood, which is a lot of fun. The high falls, jet ski stunts. But I actually was, came from a tough background and had time. It was difficult adjusting because imagine as a 19-year-old, you're thrown into and people are treating you like this superstar. Meanwhile, you got paid $30,000 after taxes, or 15, and then blah blah blah. That money goes quick.
For sure. And I know you got to work and tour with Madonna too. Did you tour with her for a while?
They asked me to tour with her, but what it was that they wanted me to choreograph some of the numbers. So if you go to YouTube, you'll see Sky Fits Heaven. That's one of the numbers. Sky Fits Heaven. I choreographed that.
Oh, awesome.
And there was a wiring in that. It was amazing. I told her on my Instagram how she told me something. I said, Madonna, no, you got to do it like this. She goes, listen, Taimak, I like my men soft and my queens hard. And I think
Oh man, oh man, that sounds like something Madonna would totally say for sure. Oh man, you've been involved in martial arts for the longest time, right? I mean, that's pretty much a huge identity of yours. And are you still practicing? Is that something that you still do?
what happened was I had no idea what was going on with me, but I was getting tighter in my body, and I didn't know it was a spinal, very difficult, very bad spinal problem. And when I went to get checked up, these doctors were kind of pushing me to surgery, and my instinct said, no way, no way, no way. So this happened many years ago, and I was, suffering with this for many, many years. It started over 10 years, and I just, at my very worst, was the beginning of COVID. When I got COVID, and I was already dealing with pain from the injury, I lost like 30 pounds. I was 148 pounds at one time.
Wow.
And I never weighed that since I was 15. And I fought for my life, and I got better, but then I started doing deeper meditations, and Dr. Joe Dispenza, I give him a lot of credit. The meditation technique to really calm your body and mind, and the possibilities are so endless when you understand the technique. So I've been getting, in the past year, I've been having more progress. In the past month, the progress is getting better and better, to the point where I'll probably, very, very soon, I'll be able to start strengthening,
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Thank you. And in 2002, you started. I read that you started a gym on the east side of Manhattan. It was called Fitness Concepts, and this is something I'm proud of. Is I kind of have a shared experience in that way with you. Is that I opened a CrossFit gym in a fitness center here in San Diego back in 2014, and I ran it for around 5 years while doing other consulting work. But I know it's a lot of hard work. So can you tell me about that experience?
The thing was, I was, all those years, I didn't have, my attention and my mind was like, how can I work as an actor? How can I didn't understand the business. So I kept working on my talent, which is good. I mean, I'm very experienced now. I can do a lot. But back then, I was getting people in shape and things like that, and they loved it. But my heart wasn't in it. So I eventually went on my merry way, But it was, I met some really great people that I was working with.
Let's go ahead and talk about current projects and like future plans for you, Taimak. Now, what have you been working on recently? Is there any new films, any new TV shows, or personal projects that you're really excited about? What's Taimak up to?
Yeah, usually I don't like to talk about things until they're ready and gone. I'll say this: I just came back today from having a meeting with an agent, so I'll follow up with that, because since I've been healing, I said I got to get back out and I got to start working.
Yeah.
So I had a great meeting with him. I'll keep you abreast how that progresses. So the whole thing about that is being seen for other projects.
That's great.
That's a big step. The other thing is I've written some things that I'm in discussion with a pretty big comic book company. So that's another thing.
Awesome.
I'll let you know how that progressed. Then I had a very original idea that I think would make a lot of people very excited. I let's just say it's not film, it's not TV, but there's only one other thing that you could be doing, and it has something to do with that, which is in the theater. So I'll update you about that.
Please do. You guys don't know this. Taimak also has a book out there. I mean, he wrote an autobiography basically, and it was called Taimak, The Last Dragon, on my pad.
Like 7-8 years ago. So especially because of the pandemic and other things, the meditation, so many things have changed. So it's a great book. There's a lot of changes I've made.
Sure. Yeah, I imagine you probably got to update that and revise that so you can get those updates in there. That's awesome stuff. But I want to know a little bit about you and your nostalgia, and kind of like your nostalgic experiences. The Last Dragon fandom is obviously very strong. So, can you share maybe like a very memorable fan interaction that you've had?
Oh
From
man,
that from.
abnormal time guy. I do these appearances all the time. I can go down the list. People have told me when I was 10, I had cancer in the hospital. I watched The Last Dragon every day. It helped me cure myself. I've had the guy Mark in Texas. He walked over to me, kind of so soft, strong, good guy. He said he was like 32, 30. He said, "Taimak, you're my hero. My kids watched the movie." I said, "Mark, I know you know that I got injured. I'm coming back. I promise you, we're gonna have another great, great
I
thing."
love it.
He just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I imagine it's pretty overwhelming sometimes, even because you've got such a huge fan base. At the same time, it's very humbling, right? I mean, you really impacted a lot of people's lives. You still do, and my children. I've got four sons at various ages. I've got a 16-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and an almost 5-year-old, and they've all seen The Last Dragon. I have it on DVD. I have it on VHS. In every I've got it downloaded in every format possible, and I love it when I can hear my 5-year-old and 7-year-old talking about Bruce Leroy. I love it.
It just an impact. It's a superhero movie.
I've always thought that The Last Dragon should have its own video game. To be honest, I'm very shocked that it doesn't have one. What's that?
It should have a lot of things. It should have
the figures. Yeah, absolutely. Toy line.
They dropped the ball with that. So, but you're right.
Big time. Big time. Yeah, and I.
All right, Taimak. We agree that The Last Dragon should have its own video game. I mean, it is set up for video gaming. I mean, I don't know if you remember that Nintendo Entertainment System game, the NES game Kung Fu.
I don't play many games at all. So.
You don't? Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. But when you were younger, did you play games at all? I mean, were you into games?
No, I was busy training, man.
All right. All right. That's cool. No, yeah, I did. Well, I played the Nintendo. I played the Sega systems. And I always felt like The Last Dragon needed a video game. Okay. So my question to you was going to be if you played video games or not, but you're busy, being a badass, as they say.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, a couple of friends did, and I played just about 5 times in my whole lifetime. And I saw the addiction. I saw it. I saw it.
Did you ever go to the arcades at all or anything like that?
When I was a teenager, when I was like in junior high school, like 13, 14, but that was like in the 80s,
Well, a lot of the audience here at Nostalgia Nation, that 80s dude, they're into video games and things like that, and it's just kind of like childhood memories for us.
You're gonna get me addicted. I know it. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Well, but I definitely try to be realistic about timing and video gaming because it is very addictive for sure. Well, let me tell you this on the same note of talking about nostalgia and that sort of thing. Is there a movie, show, or experience that is really nostalgic for you? And really takes you back to the past emotionally. I know you said you didn't game very much; you were busy training. But is there anything that you used to watch that was just like really nostalgic for you?
Oh, because I was telling about the kung fu movies when I was a kid.
Yeah.
The samurai movies.
Right. The Akira Kurosawa stuff. You watched the Akira Kurosawa movies?
Man, all this is like, I mean, I haven't done lately, but I mean, I waited so long to watch Game of Thrones that everybody was talking about it, and I found it to be fantastic. So
it was, yeah.
It's
one of the best shows. I love Game of Thrones. I'm actually getting back into watching. This is totally not like kung fu, karate, or samurai stuff, but I'm getting back into watching. I went and bought the box set of The Sopranos. Because I watched the series, but it was always like intermittently. So now I want to sit down and watch it from the very beginning. But you remember The Sopranos was like it was kind of appointment television back when HBO was doing all of the shows, right? Where you'd have to show up every week and watch the show, or you missed that episode and it's gone, right?
The cliffhangers
that's right.
And you're gone. Yeah, I mean, with Bobby Morosco, where I practice, in the acting workshop. It's a writing workshop here in New York. He's directed $1 Million Baby Crash, and other
Wow.
projects, TV, and you got Dan Lauria in there who produced what's that film with De Niro? Bronx Tale, Bronx Tale.
Oh, Bronx
So you
Tale.
got these
Okay.
kind of people
Yeah.
that are in the class. So it's funny. I'm half Italian, so as soon as you say mafia, my DNA goes easy boy, easy boy. We got to take him out, Joey. We got to take him out.
That's
Take
awesome.
him out for a walk, Joey. New
Forget
York,
about it. Forget about it.
forget about it.
Forget about it. I love it. Lisa Downs, she wrote the foreword to my upcoming book. She's actually working on a movie called Life After the Goodfellas.
Oh wow.
Goodfellas. Yeah, so I'm really excited to see that too. But yeah, I watched those gangster flicks all through the 90s and 2000s and stuff. There's some great ones out there. One of the ones that I felt like was always underrated was Donnie Brasco. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, I
That had
yeah.
Al Pacino in it
I know, but that
and Johnny
wasn't.
Depp.
Yeah, I think Johnny Depp's great, but I just think he was out of his element in a way.
Yeah, okay.
Or even if he wasn't out of his element, he was dealing with some personal issues. I think
Sure.
at that
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
I didn't really feel that so much.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask you this: what kind of music do you enjoy and listen to? Is there anything that you put on, during the week when you work out or train or anything like that? Or do you listen to vinyl, CD, or is it all digital? I'd love to know, and I think everybody would like to know.
Well, I like all music, from house to rock to rap, all music. As long as I loved when I was a kid growing up in these underground clubs in New York. There was a lot of music, and dancing. You sweat to like a pig, dancing till the break of dawn. You're all you're
Yeah.
17 years old, right? You're jumping up and down, boom, da, boom, da, boom, da, boom, boom. So it's like bass, and so that's how I grew up. So,
Did you listen to
um,
freestyle? Like Stevie B or
yeah,
Johnny O? Yeah.
everything from the, yeah, I just, but because you got the phone with you, I just digital. It's all digital.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I listen most of my music on Spotify, but I do have a full vintage audio setup here, vinyl and as well as
Nice,
CDs.
nice,
I like to listen to that from time to time. Plus the kiddos come in here and I like to show them and
nice. The
share with them some
history.
of this also. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's great.
Let me ask you something. This is kind of like kind of close off the nostalgia portion of our chat. Is there anything that you've ever collected? Any like comic books, baseball cards, anything that you were younger, the last 20 years? Was there any of that for you?
Well, when I was a kid, I had hundreds of comic books, and my mother threw them out the window. She lost her temper. Because I had all my clothes all over the floor, and because I took them out of the dresser because there was too many. So I was like 10 years old. So something like that, 10, yeah. And I stuffed them in the dresser, like everything: Archie, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man,
Wow.
all of them. Just fanatic, but still not the window.
That's crazy because here's the thing, like with that, there's a lot of folks watching, a lot of the audience. They are gonna really connect with this because when we were younger, we had our moms. They either threw things away or they gave things away, or we just never saw them if we moved, and we moved a lot, for me at least. There's even sites that are called like my mom threw them away or whatever. uh, you know,
Wow.
but like moms are notorious during our times to they've been known to throw things away or donate them. So anyway, so I totally get it. I
Clean
can
your room.
sympathize.
Clean your
Yeah,
room.
clean your room, guys.
Clean your room.
Yeah, I know.
That dirty,
Yeah.
filthy room.
That's awesome. Well, all right. Thanks for that kind of nostalgic look back. Let's go ahead and go to. I want to talk to you about some life lessons, just maybe a couple of things, because how often and how rare is it that an audience can sit down and speak to someone like you and kind of glean history or life lessons coming from Taimak? I really wanted to do that when I knew sitting down with you, I wanted to chat with you about this. So I want to know, like after a long day or after a long week, how do you decompress or recharge? Do you have a particular routine, a practice that helps you relax? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, well, the injury, I was going too fast in life, and I wasn't present. I was getting ahead of myself, in every area of my life, and the stresses of that just is unsustainable. and the injury had everything stop, you know, and it went on the healing process and the gaining knowledge about how to make the spine heal without surgery was took a long time, and now it's happening, healing. Um, so I think every great person, great man, anybody is a great woman. You need something to start your day with. I start with meditation. So this way you block out everything outside of yourself, like your bills, your family, your friends, your political beliefs and religious beliefs, everything. Well, religious, I want to put that to the side. You can keep your religious beliefs, but all the things that make you analytical, and then when you close your eyes and you say, okay, today I'm going to have the intention to, let's say you feel some fear around some area. I'm going to, my intention today is to have the courage and to breathe. Breathe deep, have courage, right? Whatever area. I have to speak to my boss. I have to talk to my wife. I have to, face the fact that I'm drinking too much, or whatever it is today. And then at the evening, you check in. You say, okay, how did you do? And you give yourself some grace, to get that learning curve, and then let's develop the skills. Once you practice it, and once you start having victories, then it becomes real, and you become, it's just, I think every great person is supposed to have some kind of ritual that is positively affecting their mind and their health and their goals.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, that kind of rolls into my other question I was going to ask you anyway, was like, what kind of wisdom about life, or relationships that you can share with the fans. And I think you kind of nailed it there. You said it, you spoke on it a little bit, but I'll let you expand. It's about, you, taking a deep breath, looking at the big picture.
The simplicity of being able to let go of all that you think, and just open your mind and get comfortable in the unknown space. We're all so tightly knit with our belief system that the only way to really expand your mind is to let go of what you think and empty your cup to let more knowledge in. Maybe you'll be your next door neighbor. You won't keep holding on to the grudge that he's an asshole or something.
Oh man, I
Just
love that.
create that warm place in your heart. And I live in an apartment building in New York. I secretly put Christmas cards under each and every one of the people in the building. Yeah, yeah. I did
Wow.
it as
Wow.
during that warm and fuzzy Christmas season, and it's like I didn't do it to get anything back from them, but it's just you're putting out something that's warm and fuzzy in
Yeah,
your
it's something
surroundings.
good. I love that, and yeah, I do believe, I really do believe that times have certainly changed, and those relationships with our neighbors have certainly kind of gone by the wayside to some degree, depending on your region or where you live. Some neighborhoods are very close knit still, right?
Yeah,
But like I'm here in San Diego, and everybody kind of keeps to themselves for the most part. We do have some neighbors that we know, and I love that and treat them well. But I agree with you. I think it really starts in our communities, right? I mean, this openness that you're describing, and I love just hearing that you put those Christmas cards underneath them. I mean, who writes Christmas cards anymore? Most people send them digitally now. It's like,
you know,
but
yeah. But it started when I bought them. So when I went to the shop to buy them, I was talking to the person. I said, "Where's a card that's cool?" They said, because I wanted to buy like 20 or 30 of them. Yeah. So they're like, "Oh, there's over there," and it all worked out. So I had my little Christmas hat on. I was going. So it was like fun. It was fun, you know.
it is. It is. It certainly
So
is. It.
free. It's a free way to um, it's an expression of love. That as corny as that sounds, it's the honest truth. It's an expression of love. You're putting love into your community and putting love out there, and just like I said before, we're so tightly knit in what we think. Then we think about who doesn't think like us, and it's like, okay, take it easy, take it easy. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
the whole world's not needs that, but if we can start in our own little areas and like expand that out, that'd be great.
Totally. Totally. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And hey, look, let's get some final thoughts from you. Okay, you've spent quite a bit of time with me, and that's been such an amazing journey for me too, buddy. But you've been one of the ones that I've been wanting to chat to for a very long time. and for a number of reasons. But it was something that I was definitely excited about, and I was telling everyone about that I knew within my inner circle. And I want to know that you've got something. I know that you said that you've got to keep some things under wraps with certain projects coming up or anything like that. But I wanted to know, what is like the best place you want to send people to, your fans? Like, where would I go besides, obviously I follow you on Instagram. Is there anywhere that I should go specifically? I think you may have mentioned a site to kind of like get more personal with you, or maybe get more information on a regular basis. I know you're very busy. You drop things on the gram every once in a while, but is there, like for me, I have a newsletter. Do you have anything like that where fans could kind of get
Well,
closer to you?
I got Instagram, as you know, it's I am Taimak, and then if you put my full name, Taimak Guarriello, on Facebook, you'll find my Facebook. Um, then we got I told you before, the last dragon dot bigcartel.com. I
Okay.
think, yeah, the last dragon dot bigcartel.com is where they can purchase the medallion. They can purchase autographed photos and T-shirts and things like that.
Okay.
Newsletter, I don't have that, but I just want to give a shout out to Ruelis. It's a mentor, an Italian businessman. Became friends with years ago. He's a young guy, and he's been acknowledged in Italy for being one of the most successful entrepreneurs under 30 years old.
Wow.
And I'm going to become his first influencer. So, and because he's expanding out into America, called Ruelis, Rualis.
I was going to ask you to spell that. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you know, I'm gonna like put some things out on the Facebook, on Instagram, that's more consistent with my belief system on life. I had a very different life growing up here, growing up in Europe, having a father that's Italian, a mother that's from Harlem, and then I have my um, meditation, I have my spiritual practice, so kind of that area. Yeah, so it's like getting out of the comfort zone and just connect, you know.
Yeah, I
And
love that. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do on your Instagram, and some of the new posts that you start posting about that. I'll certainly, once I've put the video together, I'll put some things in the description, obviously linking all this so everybody here can find your pages. Certainly. Yeah. Yeah.
I just, yeah, like you said, we're in a different time. Everything's moving fast, and everybody has their dreams, and everybody's like, social media. So it's like how to really function
Yeah. No,
mentally
I love that.
the best. Yeah.
Absolutely love that. You're the right guy for that, for sure. So,
I hope so. I hope
yeah.
so.
Well, listen, Taimak, I mean, I have been absolutely honored, and thank you so much for making time for me and the audience here on 80s Dude TV, as that 80s dude. And you're a special guy. I've always had a lot of love and respect for you, and obviously
Thank you.
being a fan of your projects. Taimak, thank you so much for your time, guys. Make sure you check out the description below for all the links to connect with Taimak, and I'll see you at the next chat. All right, stay rad, everybody.